Okay, so for those of you who watch online, again, welcome to the course Business Technology Innovation. I'm Alexander Schouten, Alex is okay. And I will be your teacher for the hearing lectures. Together we have Kim ten Velde and Peter Boele who will assist in the work group sessions. But every week you will see me in the hearing lecture. So in the first lecture we have the introduction. We'll do the practicalities, I think, in the second half, because I think it's more fun to start with what the course actually is about. Let's see. Okay, let's start with, well, this course is about the relationship between organizations, between technology, mostly communication technology, and innovation. In the first lecture, we'll discuss innovation, specifically technological innovations. So I was wondering if you can name some recent technological innovations. So what are kind of new things you observe around you that are new? So for example, if I would ask this 10 years ago or 15 years ago, you would probably say, oh, well, it's your smartphone, that is new. But now it's something else. So any recent technological innovations? Taking exams online, yes. And let's see. AI, VR, AR, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality, VR, Clubhouse, indeed, absolutely, virtual reality, taking exams online, smart homes, yes, absolutely, automated cars, RPA. I don't know what RPA is.
Do we have to write?
Sorry,
Hi.
write?
Do we have to write it down? Can we say it, or do we have to write it in the chat?
No, just write it down in the chat. But you can also say it if you have an idea.
Okay. Yeah, like a year and a half ago, I think, I saw a project. It was like a VR room, and they were making a VR heart so that medical students can go and dissect hearts without having to dissect like real hearts. And in that way, more students would be able to see more clearly, like every part of a heart.
So it's completely in virtual reality.
Yeah, like studying in virtual reality.
Okay, but do they then have access to a, but do they only study it, or can they also operate on the heart in virtual reality, you know, with those fancy gloves?
In medical school in my country, when they learn about the human body, they do operate on like corpses and on like hearts and lungs and everything like that, but they don't have enough for everybody. So that with the VR room, they went in the VR room and they would dissect the heart. So as many people as they wanted could go there and see it more clearly, and it would help them like learn all the little things.
Yeah, I get it. I think they do something similar here with some types of surgery. So they have a sort of virtual reality system or a kind of a robot or fake body type, which is connected to a computer as well.
Yeah, so that it would be easier for students to see all the details, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's something as if we look at this in like 20 years or so, you would probably have probably students from, I'm not sure if you still get a course, but more and more of it will be a virtual reality, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, I guess. I think it's very cool.
Yeah, me too. But let's see what else has been, because I think those VR and AR technologies also have been mentioned, 5G, medical drones as well. Maybe you can pick out some others. So is there someone else who wants to actually say something, you know, with audio about the things they mentioned? For example, medical drones, robotic process automation, bison. I don't know what bison. I don't know what it is.
Well, I said robotic process automation.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I only know about this because my boyfriend is looking into going in that direction as currently an AI business developer. But the idea is that you basically automate jobs using software to automate business processes, such as like interpreting applications or processing transactions, dealing with data, just like AI, sort of AI processes, but focused more on like actual processes.
Yeah, I understand. So that's probably what we discuss in this course during the coming weeks is the precursor of what your worknet is working on. Because there's a lot of automation in business as well. So with optimizing processes and using information technology to optimize processes in organizations, but they're working now on artificial intelligence indeed. It goes a bit too far for this course.
He also did the master's. He did the CSAI track
okay, yeah,
the year before. So yeah,
I understand. Yeah. So thank you. We have blockchain technology, the flip phone. I think that's a pretty interesting one because that paves the way for larger screens that you can still fit in your pocket. Blockchain technology, Nafisa. Can you or someone else name a practical business application of blockchain technology besides Bitcoin and other e-money? So what can you use it for?
I hope you can hear me. I don't know if you can hear me, but you can also use it for, it's being used a lot also in the financial industry in terms of cybersecurity, and you can use it just for information exchange, and around the world, it's just a very safe and fast way of exchanging information or also monetary goods online.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, also, I don't know if any of you heard of those NFTs that are quite popular now, those non-fungible tokens, in which you can like sell art or YouTube videos, which are then unique to someone, unique for someone. Instead, well, what you have now that you can copy over and over again. And that's also based on blockchain technology. So that's, I think, also quite interesting development. So we have a lot. So we have things like Netflix, food delivery, like Thuisbezorgd. I don't know, have you heard of Gorillas or some other type of fast food delivery? 3D food printing, I think that's only 5 years away or so. Oh, there are someone already said NFTs. Tim, sorry, I stole your idea. And Flink. Yeah, we have that in Amsterdam. I live in Amsterdam, and we have that, and it's really amazing. You know, you just order your groceries, and like 10 minutes later, someone's at your door with groceries. But so there are a lot of technological innovations that are Glovo. I don't think we have that here yet. So we have Flink and Gorillas and one other. But there are a lot of technological innovations which we already have and are still innovated upon. You know, Picnic, Netflix, Thuisbezorgd, the 5G instead of 4G, and there are also a lot of things, you know, like basically just around the corner. Advances in VR, those extreme fast food delivery, blockchain, etc. And those are examples of innovations. Well, some are inventions and others are innovations. We'll discuss the difference in a moment. But it's easy to mention, or easy. It's one thing to mention those innovations, but it's more difficult to think about what will happen with organizations and with how you organize an organization and how you organize communication in an organization when those innovations become commonplace. So, for example, think about, let's start with something relatively easy before we start talking about blockchain, because because my knowledge is only limited about how it exactly works. So let's start with Picnic or Gorillas. You know, Picnic versus Gorillas. So Picnic has a huge warehouse, which they fill like once or twice a day, and they distribute the groceries from the warehouse. But Gorillas needs to do that differently. So they need to be like on top of how many things will people order in a certain area, and they need to stock all those groceries in a specific location in that area, but not too much, not too little, just enough. for them to be able to deliver. So they need to have some kind of, probably also an algorithm, in order to know, in order to predict what will be ordered in a certain area. I don't know if you all have that. So do you all have background noise or not? Yes, okay. Okay. Then that's important enough to see if we can do something about that. Video settings, audio. Let's see. We'll check audio. Is this better or not? Yes, better? Okay, great. I'm now using this microphone, I think, instead of my webcam microphone. Where was I? Ah, yeah. So so Gorillas is a fairly simple innovation. So it seems, it's not really technologically advanced. It's just someone delivering your groceries within 10 minutes to your door. But it really is a really different business model, and it requires a whole new way of doing business. And the same with with many other examples you gave. So what if you want medical students to learn procedures using VR? So you need to change your organization. So you need to buy that software or develop your software. It needs to be accurate. So you have to be very, very sure it's a real life and accurate representation. And how do you organize that? So many of these innovations have consequences for organizations. So how does this affect the internal workings of an organization? And that's what this course is about. So let's dive a bit deeper. So thank you very much for mentioning a lot of different innovations. I think I will use this in a couple of more lectures in the coming weeks. And I think I will use it also to ask a number of questions. I'm sorry I could not get back to you all because there are very interesting innovations in here. Maybe that's also a good input for your business plan. So these on the screen are examples of innovations that are already here, and they may seem a bit boring. Netflix, Uber, smart speakers, Roomba, and Spotify, but and they may seem commonplace. But if you compare this to even 5 years ago, or at least anyway 10 years ago, this was something completely new. If I would say, I think 15 years ago, so in 15 years you have a smart device in your home which listens to everything you say and uses that for marketing purposes, you would say, nah. But now many people have something like that in their home. And also, you don't have to go to a physical store to rent a movie. That's also quite new, but it is a completely different business model compared to the Blockbuster we used to have, or Videoland, for example, in the Netherlands. So some examples of things just around the corner. Yeah, the scooters you can rent on your phone. Yeah, the Felix scooters. That's also a good example. I should have included that on this slide because I think they work really well. Yeah. So 3D printed meat, smart robots in your home, drone delivery. I think someone also said that. Electric cars, VR. So they are just around the corner, and they could be used for businesses as well. And talking about those innovations is one part of this course, but this course is mainly about thinking how those innovations affect the organization and the people and structures and basically everything in and around the organization. So for example, if you want to be a competitor of the Go scooter, so you want to organize your own Go scooters or start your own Go scooter company, what should you do? You can not just buy a bunch of scooters and that's it. So you need the logistics. You need to know what happens at the end of the day. So how do you gather them? How do you recharge them, etc. So so coming up with an innovation like that is easy, but actually making a business out of it and thinking about the workings of the organization around the innovation is actually quite complicated, and that's what we'll do in this course. So basically, the course consists of 3 parts. So and well, it's the other way around that we deal with it in the course, because in the first lectures we will talk about innovation. We will talk about what is an innovation, how to organize an innovation in your organization, what different types of innovations you have, and how innovations adopt through a certain community of users, etc. Then in the second part of the lecture of the course, we talk about the business around it. So if you think about technological innovation, how you organize an organization around it, how does technological innovation affect the structure, the culture, the strategy of an organization, etc. Get back to you in a moment. And finally, we talk a bit about technology. So there are 1, 2, 3 lectures, I think, which are a bit more technical, in which we talk about the main technologies in an organization. So one lecture, we talk about the main information systems and information technologies in an organization. In an online lecture, an online plugin, we talk about the hardware and software, like about the bits and the bytes exactly. And in one lecture is a guest lecture in which Bjorn, a former student of us, will talk about his work as a IT consultant in helping organizations optimize their processes. But more about that later on. So these are the 3 topics we discuss. So I try to make a fancy visualization of the 3 topics and how they connect. But then I realized this is a really, really stupid visualization. So therefore I decided to include it. So what is wrong with this? That is not an exam question. What did I do wrong here?
From a technical point of view?
Yeah, no, it's from a very simple point of view. So the
They
wheels
they wouldn't be able to turn, yeah.
Yeah, they cannot turn because if you have an uneven number of wheels, they cannot turn. So this is an idiot visualization. So I thought it was beautiful, but it was rubbish. So then I made this a bit less beautiful, but still functional. So the course focuses on the interplay between innovation, technology, and organization. So innovation is often spurred by technologies. So you have some kind of technology which then helps in innovation. So for example, if you think of those electric scooters, if you think of those, those are not one technological innovation on its own. You know, it's a combination of electric vehicles becoming more affordable and having a greater battery life, easy GPS hardware and software that you can install, a platform-based business like Uber, Netflix, etc. And those technological innovations together make it possible for a company like Go or Felix to exist. So innovation is often spurred by technology itself. Innovation and technology affect organizations, but organizations also affect the way that technology can be used. So if you have an organization which is really old-fashioned and not fit for innovation, it's very difficult to innovate, of course. So organizations also affect innovation. So to continue with that, I want to do a kind of an assignment now, which basically is the major assignment for the course or the business plan in a very small way, in a very small setup. So let's take a very simple product. Here I included a Doppler on So in order to kind of push you in a very simple direction, but you can also name another product. So let's do something. Name a very simple product, something or a brand or whatever. You know, peanut butter, Nike, cat food. Pockies. What the heck are pockies?
They are underpants with pockets in it.
What with pockets on it?
Yeah, you have the boxer shorts, and then they have pockets in it, so you can put your phone in it and your wallet or your keys, so you could go outside.
Or condoms.
Yeah, everything.
I think this is a bit too innovative for the example I'm about to give. Maybe we can use it in other lectures, but I hope you don't mind, but maybe we can better use pencils or peanut butter, because else I get a bit confused. Tony Chocolonely also possible straw period cup or phone holders. Afterpay. Oh well, let's keep it very simple. So maybe we do let's do pencils, but the same could apply to watches, phone holders, every other, sticky notes also. So imagine you have a simple product such as you are a company which sells pencils or which sells sticky notes or sells whatever kind of a simple product. And you offer those, well, let's do sticky notes. So you offer those sticky notes in like 5 basic colors. And people can order that, and that's it. But imagine, so you have that company, and suddenly you hire so there's a new hire, some communication, business communication student, and he or she has the idea, okay, let's not only sell sticky notes, but let's offer people to pick their own color of the sticky note. And let's have a text customization for the sticky note. So you can have on top of the sticky notes or on the pencil or whatever product you have, you can print your own text. But we still want to have a one-day delivery because we don't want people to wait forever for the product. Pretty easy. Yeah? There are a lot of companies which offer customized products, so it's pretty easy. But what I want you to do is think about what will happen to the organization when you go from simply selling something in bulk, so you have 5 different types of colors of your product and you sell those, to customized products. So what happens? So how does the order process needs to change? But then maybe
the website should change first.
Yeah, so I'll give you
that's the first thing. Yeah, the website should change first, because you should have like the means to do it.
Yeah, but I will divide you into different groups, and so that you can discuss in a group for a couple of minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. No, I didn't. I should have said that before, but that's a very good point. So the website should change, but then the back end of the website, and the internal organization should change. So what happens
the back
with the
end and the front end as well.
Yeah. So think about all these things. So what will change? So what kind of information systems do you need? How do you organize that in order to make one-day delivery happen? What kind of technology do you need? So what I'm going to do now, I have totally, absolutely no. How do I do breakout rooms? Breakout rooms. So I'm going to divide you into breakout rooms, and I'm going to create. How many people we have? 176 people. Oh, there are 3 people have dropped out in the last second. 175 people. Oh my God. So I'm going to divide you up into 40 breakout rooms, and I'm going to assign you to. Could you check? There's someone not muted.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Or we can still hear a conversation.
I think it's Cindy. I think it's the Cindy one. I think.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, got it. Thanks. So I'm going to assign you to 40 breakout rooms because we just have a lot of students. There will be about 4 people in your breakout room. And I want you to discuss this. And then once we are done, I'm going to ask a couple of you if you want to share your ideas with you. And I will, so there is a 1 in a 20 chance or so, because I will visit 2 breakout rooms to ask how it's going in the meantime. So we'll do it for like 10 minutes or so. So try to discuss what needs to change in the organization. So let's see if this works. Create, open all rooms. Okay, you can now join the breakout rooms.
But I think we have to like what's it called? We have to like change. Look what happens when
resume the recording. So that didn't work that well for everyone because not everyone who was who joined the meeting was actually active. So some people just joined and then left or were doing something else for a moment. So there are some people who were alone, so I'm sorry about that. But I hope some of you, that's always the case with the first lecture because you cannot pre-assign people to a breakout room yet. So I hope that some of you have had a chance to discuss at least somewhat the effects that an innovation like that will have on the organization, and that if you were alone in the group, that you at least had some time to think about it. So is there someone willing to share his or her ideas about the consequences for an organization? And then I will start. Maybe it's okay if I type something. Okay, who is willing to share? No one?
We have a few things.
Done. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
We had what already someone said was the website needs to be updated.
So website updated. So why? How?
Well, because the customers have the opportunity to customize their product. So it needs to be set on the website that it's possible to do that.
Yeah. So so you need to be able to pick your color, for example.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That's also the same for ads and social media, where it needs to be communicated as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can say more things, but I don't think.
Yeah, let's do one. Let's do one more. So what? So how would you need to organize the backend? So the how would the organization would be different?
We had that people or machines do the work. So for customizing, you can probably do it with the machine so it goes faster.
Yeah. So machine needs to customize. So this is probably already a huge change for the organization, but let's wait it out a bit. Yeah. So that's right. Then I will switch to another team now because I see some people raise hands. So thank you very much. So that's great. Safina?
Hello.
Hi.
The whole production chain needs to change because before the company was making one type of notes, so the production was in bulk, but now when we're doing customized, we cannot predict what kind of notes the customer are going to order. So we're going to need more efficiency in that sort. So we need to open more maybe warehouses or production kind of slash buildings in more places, because we also have one-day delivery. So in order to produce the customized notes and deliver them in time, we need to have more locations around the continents or the countries that could supply several countries around the location. So then the customers needs to get their order on time.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I also think that's what Teun meant with that you need some kind of specialized machine to make those products on the fly. Yeah, thanks. Anything else? So can you say something about what kind of information you need in an organization for that?
That was one of the questions that we really couldn't get exactly what it was meant by. So I really don't know.
No, that's okay. It was an assignment with very little explanation, so no problem. So let's go to So thank you very much. Let's go to someone else. Rina.
Hello.
Hi.
What about the size of the notes and the type of paper that we're going to use, or is it going to be just one paper?
It's your company. So
okay, we can add like 5 more types of paper. Like the quality of paper can be different, and as well as the fonts that they can decide. So, and the size of the notes.
Yeah.
And a palette of colors, which means that we are going to need more ink, more paper.
That's not how you write palettes.
Don't worry.
I don't know how you write palettes. Palettes, colors, fonts, type, etc. So there's a lot of different customization.
I think you write it with one L for some reason. Palette.
Is this
because it's French? Yeah. It's I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I thought I would amuse me. I think it's palette with one.
Yeah. Thanks.
Is it the same?
Anything else?
Oh, yeah. It's palette with PALETTE.
Yeah. Thanks.
Sorry. Just looked up for you.
Is there any?
In our team, we also discussed that we could make on our website. We could make if everyone can log in with their own email and have a history of orders, so they don't have to go through the same process again of ordering. They can just say that, my previous order, I want to order it again.
Okay, well, that's actually a very good idea. So we're getting there towards an organization which is a bit more complicated than simply buying stuff, selling stuff. So thanks. Is there anyone who has an idea about how do you organize this in terms of the information technology you need and the information that goes where?
I know from my brother who studies at Eindhoven University that they even have, that's also a chain, how products actually go through an organization. And with that, they can automatiseren. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, yeah.
They can make it automatic, so they know how much will go in, how much will go out. I do think, for example, with paper, types of paper, etc., I do think to a certain extent, you can basically also order them in bulk.
Yeah.
Because it's still, you don't create the paper itself. You just order those in bulk, but you have to get an overview of which one will be popular. For example, maybe the yellow sticky notes will be more popular than, I don't know, one in the shape of a cloud with a smiley face on it.
Yeah. Well, that's actually pretty interesting what you say. So sorry to. So no, go ahead. So.
Yeah,
if I forget,
so I think for concerning and which departments are involved, you have, for example, have especially a marketing one. Marketing is involved to keep up with the social media. IT will be involved because, you know, they have to keep up with the website. But also, which one is concerns? There is a specific name for it, but I cannot come up with it. Specifically for inventory. Inventory and an ID to research how much will be ordered from what and when.
Yeah.
So, for example, I can imagine during or after the summer holidays that people will get more stationery than, for example, during the first few weeks or like halfway the school year.
Yep, absolutely right. The whole inventory stuff is called procurement.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, or in just inventory. Yeah, absolutely. But what you say is pretty interesting because what you kind of basically say, we need some kind of algorithm which predicts what to buy in bulk based on things like previous sales, the time of year, the weather,
sales, time of year,
or whatever. So it gets kind of complicated quickly. So because somehow, because that also means that every time a customer orders something, you need to store what they ordered in a system, and you need an organization, not for example, the marketing organization, who should be able to access the system.
Would that be considered? Sorry, would that be considered big data?
Yeah,
because
well,
it's a lot of information, and then if you, for example, fill in a certain sheet, because you always, when you order something, you have a sheet of your card, then you go to information like where it has to go to delivered, and then you have to pay. So those 3 steps are included everywhere. So I think there is a certain system for that in general to make it easier. There's probably a name for it, but I don't know it.
Well, you can call everything big data, of course. It's just a bulk term for handling data. But systems that organizations actually use for these type of predictions is a customer relationship management system in which you can view sales of each customer, and together with a business intelligence components. And business intelligence is making predictions about your sales. That's something that is quite technical. I know that you don't discuss in detail in this course, but it basically concerns algorithmic or other types of predictions based on sales data. I will give a few examples of this in lecture 8 or 9, I think, when we discuss the information systems.
So you all have a customer relations system, and
it's a customer relationship management system that you need. So that's called CRM and business intelligence. We'll get there in a couple of lectures. Okay, let's go to Iris.
So with all these innovations, you also need more people and more work spots. And you also need HR, I think, for job applications.
Yeah, so you need, I don't know where to put this, but you need the exact, so you need, what kind of people would you need? So you would need HR.
And maybe also more people for the advertising.
Yeah,
social media.
marketing and advertising, marketing. Yep.
IT as well, and maybe AI specialist in AI.
Yeah. Well, you also simple. You also need people who know how to print and create different colors on a post-it note. So just the operations, people who do the work. So they who create the post-its. Yeah, designers, of course. But that can be automated as well. So you need it becomes quite big, quite complicated fast. So let's do one more thing. See if we can say something a bit about the information flows in the organization. So let's keep it researchers. So let's keep it simple. So I order a post-it note from your site, and let's say I can order I can customize the color, so I can just give a color code or whatever, and I can customize a message. So let's do only those two things. So you have a color code and a message, and of course everything else that I need to fill in order to create the order. So I do that as a customer. So where does the information that I entered on the website go next? To which department, and what happens with that information?
Well, having in mind the fact that you do put very sensitive information, like email address and physical address and everything, like the security should be pretty good.
Yep.
You should receive an email confirmation and just make sure that all the data and the order was made by you and not by someone else.
Yep.
Credit card information, all that needs to be secured. You need to put your credit card information in a secure way, in a secure portal.
Oh yeah, of course. Wait, I forgot the payment information, so that needs to be secure. So, and where does all this information go? So let's make the screen a bit bigger. So I have submitted an order on the website, and it contains my email address, my address, the color, the text, the payments, and the number of.
For sure, it will go into a database. So in the moment of order, customers should also agree with the terms and conditions.
Yeah, well, it goes, but let's well, not well, of course it goes into a database, but that's easy. But who will handle the information next?
Oh.
So let's not. You're absolutely right. It needs to go into some kind of system, but who will deal with it? Who gets the information in there? Which department or which person? So
the financial department, I would think.
Absolutely.
They would need to have a financial department, right?
Yeah. So it needs to go to the financial department. Not everything needs to go to the financial department, but information. The financial department needs to receive the information about the payment.
Yeah.
And it's not so easy because more happens, because the financial department needs to check if the payment actually went through.
Yeah.
So it needs to be somehow connected to some external organization like a
and
bank.
Also, yeah, and also for refund purposes, I guess, because it is like a company, and even if it's only for post notes, refund can appear.
Yeah, so the finance department should store that information. So how much a customer ordered, how much the customer paid, into a sort of a system. Then we have, so there are some comments here. So we have a shipping department. So so thank you, by the way, sorry. We have a shipping department, and they need to receive the order. Well, not the order, they need to receive the product. Plus
the address.
The address information, and they send that off to some kind of, again, external, some kind of, PostNL,
UPS,
FedEx, yeah, whatever. But that's not all. Once PostNL or FedEx or UPS has delivered the package, there needs to go some kind of signal or information from UPS back to the organization that they actually delivered it. Yeah,
not
all
everywhere.
of this because sorry, what did you want to say?
If they could, if they had like good customer service, I would say that could be checked through the UPS site or the FedEx site.
Yeah, so we have customer
like right away. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so there's a customer service department which also needs information, and of course there is, you know, there is a department which actually has to create those memo pads. So
order support maybe.
Yeah, so they need to know. So they need to have the information about the color, number, the color, the text, the amount of pads, and like someone else said, the paper type, etc. Yeah, marketing department and customer service can send an after sales email. So so indeed, it's all of this because we want to sell more colors. So this is what happens when you innovate. So this is the point of the course as a whole, and this is the point of this assignment, and this assignment, but then way larger, is what you do in your business plan. So it's pretty easy to come up with an innovation, saying, "Oh, let's sell electric scooters," or "Let's make some kind of a platform-based memo sharing, whatever," or something very simple as "Let's sell memo pads with different colors." But all these innovations really travel through the organizations and have a lot of consequences for the organization. Suddenly you need to hire different people. You need to have IT specialists who know how to handle the system. You need to redesign your website. You need to have some kind of, I think the solution was also in the chat. Someone said CRM software, such as Salesforce. We'll get there. If you don't know what Salesforce is, we'll get there in a couple of weeks. But it is CRM software which keeps tracks of sales and communicates that throughout the organization. So you need some kind of information system, some kind of indeed, that is the database. You need the database and ways to access the database. So it gets kind of complicated quickly, even with a small innovation such as this. And this is the major premise of the course. So of course, I cannot teach you everything about how to handle this, but we will discuss the consequences of, so we will discuss what an innovation is, and we'll discuss the consequences for an organization. So yeah, I hope you liked it, because we've been going on for an hour. So basically, to end this, what we did now in the assignment and what we discussed is basically the course. So I suggest let's have a 10-minute break. Yeah, 10-minute break. And let's start again at 5 before 6 o'clock. And then I'll discuss the practicalities of the course. But for now, really, thank you very much for your active involvement and for the discussion. So I really liked it a lot. So thanks. So 10-minute break, and then we continue.
Thanks.
So okay, let's continue with the remainder of today's lecture. And I have some things I want to say about innovation, but I think it's first important to discuss at least some of the practicalities of this course. I hope you all had a chance to browse through Canvas and had a look at the course manual, so you know what is expected of you during the course. So I'm not sure how you handle all these learning objectives in every course. So for us, it's really important, the learning objectives, because for us as teachers, it connects what we want to achieve with the course to the lectures and the type of examination and assignments. But I can imagine for you, they sound a bit general and a bit vague. But they describe what we'll be doing in this course. So they're not very, so I think we discussed most of it. So in this course, we learn about the interplay between innovation, business, and technology. And we'll be doing that by means of hearing lectures, by means of work groups in which we discuss your progress of the business plan, and I get to the assignments later on. So what we'll be doing exactly? So we'll discuss a number of topics in the course. So first of all, we talk about innovation. What is innovation? Innovation process. We will talk about the business model, so bringing your innovation to market. Then we talk about organizations, so the basics of an organization, the interplay between IT, innovation, and organizations, or consequences of information technology, innovations for strategy, structure, culture, etc. And then finally, we'll talk a bit about the more technical stuff, about what is information technology exactly, what is information. And we talk about the most basic information technologies in IT in an organization. And then we have 2 lectures about some newer developments of social media and virtual organizations. So that's what we'll be doing in this course. So for those of you who are pre-master students, and if you've done a previous bachelor in which you have a lot of organization and management or IT in organization, maybe a lot of this course may sound familiar. So be sure to check the course manual and the literature. Because you may want to pick another elective, or maybe you think, okay, I can it's good to redo this. So, but keep in mind that some of this may be familiar, so choose your elective wisely. For those of you who are in your bachelor and do business, communication, digital media, or this as another course, this is what we'll be doing. So check the course manual for the exact lectures and content. So most of the practicalities are in the course manual and on Canva, so we don't need to go through all of them. But important to mention is that besides the exam, which counts for 60% of your grade, you'll be writing in groups of 5 students a business plan during the course, in which you basically do what we just discussed before the break, but then in a bit more extensive. So you have to develop a business plan for an innovative IT or social media related product or service. And you have to basically explain the innovation, explain why your innovation product or service will be a success. And you have to design the organization around the innovation. So the strategy of the innovation, how the organization is structured, and what we did right before the break, what information the organization and information systems and information technologies the organization needs in order to be able to, make the innovation happen. So the details of the business plan are here given quite shortly, but if you look at the business plan instructions on Canvas, there is quite an extensive instruction of the exact parts that need to be included in your business plan, and with all the other formalities about the business plan. So I think it's all quite self-explanatory, and if you have questions, of course, you can ask me or the other lecturers. Some formalities, so instructions are available on Canvas. Our entire course is in English, so the business plan should be written in English as well. About 6,000 words in APA style. Well, not exactly APA style, as long as the references are in APA style and you have a consistent layout. The deadline is months away, but you have to do a lot in the meantime, in groups of maximum 5 people. And the important thing is that you have to enroll in a subgroup on Canvas before September 12th in order to partake in the course. So if you are not enrolled in Canvas before that date, you can no longer participate in the course. We have 2 work group sessions, one in the week of September 27 and one in the week of November 1st. And in the work group sessions, it's basically the only 2 moments where you get feedback on your business plan. So you present the first and the second part of your business plan in the first and second work group session. And then we and your fellow students give feedback on your ideas up to now. So you'll have to attend. So you cannot skip the work group sessions, but it's only 2 times. And the group you signed up for determines the workgroup session you are in. And there are, well, let me show you on the next slide. So this is the schedule. So if you signed up for group number 1, your workgroup sessions will be on Tuesday, September 28 and Tuesday, November 2nd at 2:30 p.m. If you sign up for group 24, it's Thursday, September 30, etc. This is set in stone. So, well, sort of. So you cannot say, oh, well, I signed up for workgroup 19, but for me, it's better if I have the workgroup session on Friday. It doesn't work that way. Once you sign up for a workgroup, well, you can unenroll and assign for another workgroup session. But once you are fixed and have a group, this is when you have your workgroup session. So make sure to enroll for a workgroup session in which you have no other courses or work or whatever. But again, it's only 2 times, so you should be able to plan around it. We have 2 workgroup sessions that take place online. So groups 19 to 24 on Thursday, September 30 at 10:30, and groups 37 to 42 on Friday, October 1st at 12:30. Those are online groups. So if you feel uncomfortable coming to campus because of the pandemic, or if there are other, health issues or other issues that prevent you from coming to campus, you can sign up for the 2 online work groups. So you have to sign up for groups 90 to 24 or 37 to 42. All the other groups will take place offline. So you will have to come to campus and present your work there. Is that clear? I think so. If not, feel free to ask a question or put it in the chat. Are there people, well, 2 important things. I will post this on campus as well. So first of all, if you are not yet enrolled for a group, enroll as quickly as possible. Moreover, please check with how many people you are in a group. So I don't expect all groups to become full. So if you see that you're only with 1 person in a group, then you may want to unenroll and enroll for another subgroup. But you have to keep track of that yourself. Also, if you have a group and you don't know all of your group members, email or WhatsApp or whatever, just contact your group members as quickly as possible to make sure they all exist and have not dropped out. Okay, that's one. Second, if you decide not to take this course after all, it would be really helpful for your fellow students if you unenroll from your subgroup and unenroll from the course, because then a space becomes available in a subgroup that may be better for another student to enroll in. So if you decide not to take this course after all, it's really handy for administration for your fellow students if you would unenroll from this course. Ilsa. Yeah, Ilsa. So 2 sessions are online. So if you are enrolled in groups 90 to 24 or groups 37 to 42, your session will be online. If you are enrolled in another group, your session will be offline.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. Sorry. So that's the most important assignment. It counts for 40% of your grade. You can already view the assessment for and from the rubrics on Canvas if you want to know what you're assessed on. And there are detailed instructions in the assignment instructions. The second assignment you have to do, which is only a pass-fail assignment, is you have to design a database. That does not mean you have to program a database. You just have to think about what a database will look like. So you can draw it on paper or and give a description of it. And that's the deadline for that assignment is November 22nd, so also months away. So we have a lecture about databases and database design, and you need the contents of that lecture in order to do the assignment. There may be some of you who already know how to do it from your pre-master or as a hobby, but if you want to, you can already check the, I'm not sure exactly when we'll have that lecture. Let me check. It's a good thing to check. Course manual. That's not the correct course. Sorry. Yeah, the database and database design lecture will be on November 10th. And that is an individual assignment. Yeah, but it's okay to work together with a with one or two of your fellow students. That's fine. Also, it's a difficult assignment for you who don't have any technical experience, but I will not fail any of you if you do not come up with the correct answer. So it's just that you have to think about and try to come up with a database design. But I will give more information about that exact assignment in so a couple of weeks before the deadline. And also, if you want to start beforehand, I will make sure that the slides for that lecture will be online as soon as possible. Unfortunately, as soon as possible will be, I think, in 2 weeks, because these are a couple of busy weeks for me. And that is a pass-fail assignment. Slides. Instructions are available on Canvas already. So the exam counts for 60%, the business plan for 40%. The exam will contain multiple choice and open questions, but more about that in the last lecture. Important to mention is, as far as policies are now, the exam will be an offline exam. So you will have to come to campus in order to make the exam. As the policies are now. So I have no idea what will happen in the coming months. It could become better, it could become worse. So it could be the case that everything will be online and proctored, but university is really trying to push offline examination. So keep that in mind. For now, examination will be offline, but who knows what will happen in December. Yeah, one interesting thing to mention, there is a thing called the Tilburg University Challenge. And the Tilburg University Challenge is for students who think they have an innovative business idea and they want to develop that business idea further. So what, sorry, I have given 2 lectures and done a lot of talking today. The Tilburg University Challenge is that you can submit your idea for your business plan on the website, Tilburg University Challenge, and then a number of ideas are picked out, and then you will be allowed to develop your idea into an innovative business idea, so into a business plan with guidance, coaches from the business world, etc. And basically, the timeline for the Tilburg University Challenge runs parallel to the assignment in this course. So if you think you have a very good idea for your business plan, you may want to consider also handing it in for the Tilburg University Challenge. So just to let you know. Is all the literature important for the exam? No. I always pick random papers to include in the syllabus for no reason. Of course. No, it's just, oh, sorry. Now let me answer the question correctly. No, I was just, sorry, Matthew. I was just talking about this with a fellow teacher who says we always get this question about how important is the literature. So the literature is it's important as background information. You know, I use literature to create my lectures. But thanks for saying slightly chaotic and entertaining lectures. Thanks. So I use the literature to create my lectures. And then I base most of my exam questions on what I say in the lectures. So I think you can pass the exam with the lectures alone. But what always helped me was to follow the lectures, make notes, and then browse through the literature like as a kind of a second opinion to what I explained in the lectures, because not everything that is in the literature is important. And if there is like a part of a chapter in the literature that I did not discuss at all in the lectures, I will not ask an exam question about that. So I will not ask exam questions like this in this paper on page 24 at the bottom right hand, there is a what do the authors say? But the literature is important background. So what really helps me is just if I have given the lectures, like you say, it's sometimes pretty chaotic and it may not be clear. So just browse to the literature and see even, okay, that's what he meant. And I think if you do that, so pay most attention to the lectures, make notes, and then read through the literature as a kind of a background information or second opinion on what I said, that is really your best preparation. So I'm sorry to make a joke of your question. Sorry for the roast. Yeah. So, but it is actually a good question. Thanks. Are there any other things about your practicalities of this course? No. Okay. So if you have any other questions, so what? So I saw that a number of people posted a question in a discussion forum on Canvas. My notifications were off, so I now switched them on again. So I will now get a notification if you ask a question in a discussion forum. That would be really helpful because then everyone can read the question and the answer. But you can also, if you have private questions, just feel free to email me as well. Finally, one thing that I forgot to mention, which is it's really not very nice of me, is that there are 3 lecturers in this course. So we have Peter Bruder and Kim ten Velde. I should have included a picture of them on one of the slides. But they will, you may see them in your workgroup session because they will do the workgroup session. And maybe Kim will also take over a lecture. So there are 2 other teachers in this course who will help you with your business plan and who you will see in the new workgroup sessions. Okay, if there are no other questions, we will spend the last 10. I have, well, let's see how far we get. About what innovation is. What are the to-dos for next week? For next week, read the literature, sign up for a workgroup session, for a subgroup if you haven't already done so, and contact your group members to see if they actually exist and take the course. So that's the to-dos for next week. Besides that, there's no strict deadlines yet. Defining what is innovation. Let's make it a more simple question. Can someone say what the difference is between an innovation and an invention? Now, those are 2 different things. Am I still? Can you still hear me? Because I assume that my internet connection was off. Yeah, sorry, I thought so. The question is, what is the difference between an invention and an innovation? Afina, I see you, but just see if more hands get raised or more people answer the question in the chat, and then I'll get back to you. Welcome. Don't leave, everyone. Okay, so type the answer in the chat or also raise your hand. So I'll start with Sabina. Sabina, what do you think the difference is between an innovation and an invention?
Invention, I believe, is to create something new that hasn't existed yet, while innovation is to improve something that already exists.
Okay, yeah, I get the exact same answer, I think, from Nafisa. So that's a good thing, I think. So thank you, Nafisa. Brit, inventing is creating something new. Innovation is using that new thing to create impact. Yeah, exactly. Desiree, innovation is something which is new and doesn't have to be technological. Innovation is something which improves something. Yeah. So I think there is a thing called wisdom of the crowds, and in which you ask a bunch of people for a solution to a problem. Often they come up with the answer as a group. And I think this is what we see here as well. So basically, an innovation is an invention plus an idea of how that invention will create impact. So if it's a good idea. So it's very easy to invent something. I can invent paint which tastes like peanut butter. It doesn't exist yet. It's new. It's an invention. But is it an innovation? Probably not. I don't think it will make a huge business impact, and it will sell, and I will sell a lot of products. So invention, easy peasy. You can come up with a lot of different inventions, but innovation means doing something with that invention. So create impact is the general term that accompanies an invention. So invention plus impact is innovation. There are some things that well, at least in the definition of innovation and invention we use here, is that an invention does not necessarily need to be very new in technology. So like I said, peanut butter taste paint is not a new technology, but it is an invention. It's a terrible invention, but it's not necessarily a technological product. So you can also innovate on something that is not technological. So you can innovate your process in an organization. So for example, if your organization is very inflexible, you can innovate the process in your organization to make your organization more flexible. So for example, a faster response time for customer questions. That would be an innovation in your organization, but would be a process innovation. Of course, you can use a technology for that. You can install some kind of social media management software for that, but it is a process innovation. You optimize a process. So I think I just discussed basically all the slides left in the lecture. But if you look at what people think an innovation is, I think you get a lot of the answers that you already gave. So an innovation is the product needs to be innovative. So that's basically an invent, needs to be some kind of invention, something new. Also, well, I think this is kind of similar. It needs to be radical or discontinue. And in management terms, discontinue means that it kind of disrupts an earlier process. So it optimizes a process. It is a new product with new customers. So it disrupts something. That's not always the case with an innovation, but there is one definition of an innovation. Newness, technical content, newness to market. So all different aspects of an innovation. That doesn't really get us closer to a definition of innovation. So let's get there. So the invention is the creation of a thing or ability, or technology, product, service, whatever, for the first time. An innovation is using that thing or ability to create impact. So basically an invention plus market entry via user diffusion and adoption. Oh yeah, I'll get to that. So basically you have to use the invention to create value through, officially it's called economic societal impact, by changing behaviors, interactions, processes, and it has to be somewhat iterative in nature. So you can build upon an innovation. So the iPhone 7, 8, 9, 10, SE, 12, whatever. So it's all incremental innovations. Yeah, an innovation asterisk. So that's actually a very good point, and we'll get there next week. So because you have different types of innovations, and not all innovations are created equal. But we'll do that next week. So an innovation is an invention plus a market entry via diffusion adoption. So an idea of, okay, who will use this invention? Who will the users and customers be? And what are we going to do as an organization in order to reach those customers? From an internal organization point of view, okay, we have an invention, we have an idea of who the users will be. How do we create value? How do we need to adopt and change our organization in order to fit the invention? And how will we make money? And together, that is an innovation. And that's the difference between an invention and innovation. Getting back to the question, good point. What is here in this table is just a summary of different research papers, which all give a different definition of innovation. So a lot of different studies give a definition in terms of product innovativeness, but you have other definitions as well. So this is not to say that this all needs to be part of an innovation. This is just a summary of the literature. And if you take that together and integrate it, I think this is the best definition of innovation that we get, at least the definition for innovation that is most useful for this course. As a kind of a mnemonic, I can never pronounce it, mnemonic. To remember it, an invention creates something new, and innovation creates something that sells. That's a bit kort door de bocht. I don't know what kort door de bocht is as an English saying. Short through the turn. So it's a bit, it's not the correct definition, but it is a way to remember the difference between the two. So let's take this as an example, and then we quit the lectures, and then it's enough for today. So just as a final question, do you know what this is? It was very hip like 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago. Yeah, Google Glass. Yeah. Is this an innovation or an invention? Invention. Some people say innovation. Okay, I'm gonna ask. Can someone ask Pitja or Jens? Can you say why it's an invention and not an innovation? You know, say it with audio.
Oh, yeah, I think that this Google Class is invention because there's not much people can use that, and its use is not so common.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So it's yeah, like Matthew says here, absolutely, there was not really a market entry of Google Glass. So I didn't. So it was more kind of look what we can do with the technology, but not a really well worked out idea of how you would enter the market. But there are some people who said innovation. Let's see here, scroll back. With Ilsa, do you want to comment why you think it's an innovation?
Yeah, I think it's an innovation because the glass already exists, and the Google Glass is like an improvement on the glasses. So I thought it was an innovation, but I don't know.
That's actually a very good point, because it's sometimes very difficult to identify exactly what it is, because we already had glasses, we already had a screen projector, so we just put it together, and then it's something new. So oftentimes it's kind of a not clear cut what is an innovation and what is an invention. So there is a definition, but it's not clear. But if you think about market entry, I would say that this was an invention, but it's just based on the idea that it was unsuccessful. But you could just as well say it was an innovation. Let's see if we scroll back. Yeah, for example, if this would be an exam question, so explain if Google Glass is an invention or innovation. Oh no, not Apple Pen. Oh, oh, now I can't get it out of my head. So if you have a good motivation for why something is an innovation or invention, then it will score points on the exam. So because it's never clear cut. Because nowadays what you see, Google Glass is planning to bring this back as an innovation, because now they say, going back to the start of the lecture, for example, for medical students, having a kind of a layover on your glasses with extra information, or maybe the ability to zoom in or so when you're operating, maybe that would be useful. So now they're starting to reintroduce Google Glasses with an actual ID of specific users. You also have other organizations which kind of took part of this Google Glass and created something else, for example, glasses with the ability to take a photo. So glasses with only a camera. So things like that. So I think the definition innovation will always be determined by a market response. Yeah, so innovation is and market is broad. So you don't necessarily have to be a commercial organization in order to innovate. You can also be a government or a non-profit organization, for example, who can innovate. So then the market response is not defined in terms of monetary value, but maybe defined in terms of how many people you can help with something. Okay, so there we have it. But this slide will be on next week as well. So let's quit. We finished 2 minutes before the end of the lecture. I can assure you that this is the last time that this will happen, because probably next week we won't finish in time. Thank you very much. So, Matthew, sorry. So what if you thought of a good idea to enter the market, but there's still 0 sales? Yeah, it could be an innovation. So if you have an idea about how it will enter the markets, then it can still be an innovation. But we will discuss that in lecture 3, when we will discuss diffusion of innovation. And a diffusion process is an integral part of an innovation. So we'll get there in 2 lectures. So thanks. So okay, thank you for your attention. Thanks for the input, and I'll see you next week. So thanks very much, and have a good evening. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks.